And the population in the subsistence economy has drastically reduced from 68% now to about, I'm told, about 39%, thanks to wealth creation initiatives like Emyoga, Operation Wealth Creation, and now currently the PDM and other economic empowerment initiatives which the government has been spearheading. Then tax collection has grown, of course, from 5 billion. In 1986, we were only collecting 5 billion worth of revenue. Today, this financial year, URA is going to collect 31 trillion. Now, that has been brought about by the strategic, the strategic growth in the private sector, because one of our strategies was to grow and refocus on private sector led growth.
Okay.
Now, we have seen real GDP growing in the last 20 years, averaging 6.5%, and the economy has grown more than 14 times to now 50 billion US dollars. And President Museveni has told us that the economy is going to grow to 500 billion in the next 10 years. Of course, this is achievable once we begin pumping our oil from the ground. Life expectancy has risen from 42 years in 1986 and now to about 68 to 70 years, according to the new population census results. Access to clean water has improved from 44% now to 81% in rural areas, and the population and 79% of the urban populations are accessing clean water.
Yes, allow me give you some information regarding the cleanliness of the water.
Yes.
We, the people in the urban areas, have been experiencing dirty water supplies. That is the tapped water. I am one of those victims. I've reported to the National Water and Sewerage Corporation, and I'm not so sure why this is the case, but what we called clean water has actually turned to dirty water. If you went to Mukono today,
yes,
that new place where we have seen Kasasiro being dumped is actually close to a swamp. And remember, these natural settings are the ones from which the water that we use eventually is filtrated, or filtrated. So somewhere, somehow, I think as a researcher, note that somewhere, so that you do a bit of querying and findings or research about the same.
Okay.
So the clean water might not be clean as we indeed say it is for all.
Oh, that is okay. Maybe, but I have checked the pipes of national water. They have very good pipes, unless if the dirtiness of the water results maybe from some of our tanks. You know, we also take long to check what is happening in our tanks, and we think that the dirtiness is coming from national water system.
That would be the case if the water that we use in our taps comes from our own tanks. But this is water that comes from national water supplies. Anyway, we'll get to that. Just conclude on that point.
Okay, it's okay. But as long as at least we have got water, so many people are having access to water in urban and rural areas. Yesterday, I just shared a video clip on social media that was running, and where there was a woman who was holding a jerrycan of water in 1980 in Kampala here, and people had lined up.
Yeah.
And everybody was putting a bucket, a cup, just to have some water, a drop of water.
From water streams.
From
what we call the wells.
She would fetch it from the streams and comes, and the people line up in Kampala. That was the situation. Talk of the infrastructure like roads. We have got the tarmac roads network has grown from 1,400 kilometers to now more than 6,000 kilometers. And we see that now government has decentralized and purchased road construction equipment for each district and local government. And a lot of resources have been divested strategically to roads.
Mr. Bwire, you will allow me come in because I am perhaps the representative of the listener.
Yes.
When we talk about these achievements, have we seen them come our way in record time, or they are a little overdue? Because the listeners out there will tell you, well, these guys have done a wonderful job, but in how long?
Yes, in how long? Kent, you very well know the background we are coming from. When we shot our way to Paul in 1986, we first of all had now to deal with immediate things of the time.
Yeah, sure.
There was war and instability. We first of all had to restore peace and stability.
Yeah.
Then, of course, the economy was in shambles, in doldrums. So we had to embark on some minimum economic recovery programs
Sure.
to stabilize the economy, to bring down inflation, and among other fundamentals. Then we also had now, so systemically we had first of all to start rebuilding the pillars of democracy, the pillars of development, the pillars of growth, because we could not just work out of the blue. Something first of all had
because even for that, such implementations, if the economy was bad, then how would the budgeting come?
Yes, something had to be done first of all. We are having so many rebellions. Uganda, the NRM has fought 14 rebellions. So many rebellions, 14 rebellions against the NRM government until 2005. When we now eventually flushed out LRA, and so in the last 500 years, I can say, as the president has been telling us, that now we are, this is the time we have had relative peace and stability in the last 500 years, up to 2005. Okay. So we are first of all dealing with the issues of peace, security, and stability. Now, from 2006, I remember that His Excellency the President called for a meeting at Statistics House of ministers and all stakeholders, and now they agreed that let us now let us prioritize investment, budget allocations to essentially deal with infrastructure and to also deal with the energy. Yeah, you remember, because it was a time of load shedding and the roads were in a very poor state. Okay. So going by the philosophy or the idea of prioritization, so a lot of money now has been invested in infrastructure and the things that bring about wealth and enhance production and productivity. So it has been a process. It not just happen because somebody said, where have you been to do all these things? Why doing them now? We are now coming from somewhere first of all, because we first had to build a state, build a civil service, build the economy,
stabilize that,
build democracy,
and then achieve.
Yeah, stabilize and then achieve. So right now, as we continue, we can see that now, thanks to this prioritization, as guided by His Excellency the President, access to electricity now stands at 65%, from 5.6% in 1991. Electricity generation capacity has increased from 150 megawatts in 1986 now to more than 2,000 megawatts. And it is projected to grow to 50,000 megawatts by 2040. Now, when you have got abundance of electricity, that now means a lot of things. A lot of things in terms of industrialization, in terms of jobs, in terms of environmental conservation, in terms of everything. Okay. Then we have got, of course, so a lot of things achievements have been registered. Now, get just to as maybe as I conclude
for this first submission.
Aware of the fact that we are turning victims of our own success, because when you have got so many successes and achievements, you can also become a victim of your own success. Now, deliberately now shifting attention to the new sweeping trend, fully cognizant of the fact that the people we liberated 39 years ago are not the same people now we are leading today. If you look at the demographic differences.
The immunized bazukuru.
About more than 78% of the populations today were now born from 1986 to date. You see that? So we see that the majority of these people are the current children, the grandchildren of the liberation stages, and their understanding or appreciation of the past is determined by the current socio-economic dynamics. So that these are now the kind of the things that the NRM is now trying to sort out, knowing that now we are dealing with new challenges. People have got different thinking, different appreciation of the problem. Grown. Yes, so when we talk about 1986, they don't understand 1986. Though it is imperative that we keep taking them back memory lane to educate them about our history and where we are coming from. Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, that's quite interesting and quite comprehensive as well from Mr. Stephen Bwire, a senior researcher at the National Resistance Movement. Of course, someone sent me a message earlier and said, what else would he say? He's defending his employers.
That is interesting.
We were joined by Kada Akansasira Junior Victor a little while earlier. And like I did make mention, he's a common figure on Ground Zero program, but making time to be with us this morning as well. He's the CEO of Nurture African Youth Network, which is initialized as NINET, but also he's a global schools mentor on SDGs, that is Sustainable Development Goals. Now, getting to you, Kada Junior Victor Akansasira. As the CEO of Nurture African Youth Network, how would you assess the impact of the NRM's youth-targeted programs over the past 39 years?
Dear listeners of UBC Radio and Ground Zero program.
Maybe this I must. Kada, let me just come in here. Normally when people are sharing what you would call thrilling videos or information, they will actually say maybe alert, this is graphical and stuff. I mean, Kada Victor is known for being the tough one on the show, so I am alerting whoever is on the show. This one is a motor-mouthed, tough young man speaking.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you, Kent.
I don't know what you're driving to, Mr. Kent, but it is a new year.
Yes.
And I want to say Happy New Year to Nduguwire.
Oh, thank you so much.
My senior mentor,
thank you.
Commissioner Bakalikwira.
Thank you.
And Happy New Year, Kent.
Thank you.
It's
thank
been
you.
quite long.
Yeah, sure.
And I also want to appreciate you for such an opportunity to bring young people on such a platform. I want to also say thank you to the people that I have in this studio. They are not new to me.
Okay.
In fact, Mr. Buire is the one who publishes my articles in The Lens.
I just hope there's not going to be bias in this submission.
Yes. And Mr. Commissioner, we have also met ourselves a couple of times, and he's also
and if I'm not
us.
mistaken, I've also hosted both of you on the same show.
Exactly.
Yes.
So they are not new to me. And I'm so happy that we are all cadres.
Okay.
Though not all cadres are equal. I want to also say in reference to today, I want to present as a cadre, as a patriotic young cadre, not as maybe the CEO of NINET
Or an activist.
or an activist. I want to be truthful. To say that as we are going to celebrate the Liberation Day, the young people are not yet liberated. If you can look at the UBO statistics that were recently released, you can really see that the young people own this country because we have the numbers. But if you can also look at these mammoth crowds in this country, vis-a-vis the benefits, how and what they have benefited from this government of NRM, I think there are so many questions. However, I want to appreciate one historical, the President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, under his stewardship and leadership, that he has done. He has played his role as a leader. That one I must say it. Only that he is betrayed by a few greedy or unpatriotic leaders around him.
Or maybe unpatriotic cadres around him.
I can as well call, but a cadre should be patriotic. By definition and by understanding, a cadre should be patriotic. So it should be patriotic. But these, I think, are not cadres. If they are trained cadres, like I was trained and commissioned, then they had their own targets. But I want to say the President has done a couple of things. There has been development, like Mr. Weir has been mentioning them, like my mentor Bakari Kwira has mentioned them. And there's from 1986, when they went to the bush, they had a couple of questions to answer.
Yeah.
In fact, they had a lot of questions they were asking the other governments before them.
Yes.
And when they were blessed with power, they were the ones to answer questions, to answer some of those questions that they were asking the other people. But also, as our generation, the 21st century, the ones you call the Gen Zs that are growing at a terrific speed, also have questions they want to be answered. When it comes to issues of corruption, I must mention this before I forget it. Corruption. I don't know. Last time, Commissioner, you remember, he said, if
President Museveni.
I remember he said it is not good to be coercive, but I believe if you look at some of the Asian tiger countries, these measures have worked, and there are no more thieves. Just look at the Singapore, look at
Malaysia.
some of the Malaysia, look at Hong Kong, Taiwan, and these. You steal, they hang you, and you see how swift the development is really helping them. But an endowed country like Uganda, the Pearl of Africa. Yesterday I was the MC of the African Youth Congress at Speak Resort Munyonyo. We're hosting over 11 African countries, young people, young leaders. They were saying, wow, Uganda, very beautiful, but thieves. I must say this, because I love my country. They were happy with the environment, so blessed, beautiful ladies, power, roads, but thieves.
How did they see the thieves?
They read. Even the situation that was there would really see that the issue somewhere. But just because of unpatriotic leaders. I don't want to mention their names, but if you go to the X, those of you who follow Baram, you will see what I am talking about.
What do you mean? You mean Honorable is
Honorable Minister
unpatriotic?
Baram.
Is he patriotic and patriotic?
Just go there on his X account. See his tweet on the Africa Youth Congress.
Oh, he commented on that. Okay.
You'll get the point.
All right.
But
You will
you
see
see-
what he was trying to mean.
Okay.
You unpack it because
Now-
not all the people listening to us have got access to X.
I don't have to mention people's
I am
names.
trying to get there so I can read. I'll probably help
So,
us understand.
corruption. What I was trying to say is Uganda is blessed. We have very good resources, very wealthy, but they are just pocketed by a few thieves, a few megalomaniacs. The majority young people are not benefiting from these resources. They're the ones you find on the streets. Even some of us who come up with initiatives to support the young people in skilling. If you're not known by somebody in the government,
Skilling,
Jerry,
basically.
we do these shoes, we do books, yogurts. These are some of the things that are domesticated, used daily. But you apply for these funds. Who are you? How much do you have? That nonsense is what is disappointing us, the young people, the ones you call the Gen Zs. Corruption. I was also recommending that we change this word. I think it is smoothened. It is somehow packaged.
Sugar-coated.
Sugar-coated. I think if we should change it to theft, it would really, even this young person in primary school, know, okay, if you steal money, then you're not corrupt. You are a thief. Because somebody pockets billions is just transferred from one ministry to another. You hear somebody is now an ambassador somewhere. What are we parenting? I'm happy that he's in the midst of national guidance.
Of course, that he says as he points at the assistant commissioner.
Yes.
And I'm
National
listening.
guidance. What are we teaching the young people who are growing daily? Unemployment. Now, just yesterday, this week, you saw Makerere University graduating. Thousands of young people. Last year you saw MUBS, you saw Chambogo, you saw KIU. Just in 1 year. Where are these people going if you're not giving employable skills? Yes, I'm happy that the Minister of Education, Mama Kataha, Her Excellency, Honorable Minister Kata Museveni, brought the new curriculum. It is working.
But you should also appreciate.
I'm appreciating. That's why I'm talking about it.
I'm making giving additional info to you. Appreciate the fact that we have a presidential initiative which is nationwide.
I'm coming
skilling
to that,
these young men and women.
Comrade Ken.
And also the Directorate of Industrial Training, which has rolled out grossly in the last probably 3-4 years.
I'm coming to that. I have it down.
Okay.
I'm appreciating the First Lady for being visionary in a sense that she and people in charge of Ministry of Education have realized that young people need these tangible skills in secondary schools, but these skills would start from primary schools. Like in the early days, you'd go to primary, we had hard works, but you go there now, where are they? We are buying motors, we are buying stools, we are buying even mingling sticks from the market. Yet we used to do them ourselves. I know, Commissioner, you did all those mats, baskets. You get the point. But where are they now? I recommend that these skills that in the new curriculum should employ all these skills to start from primary schools, so that even when a child finishes P7 and cannot manage getting money to go to secondary, can start up something, a workshop somewhere, and then survives. Then also, Kent, if we talk about employable skills, and also in relation to the current trend,
Yes.
there are no jobs. Indeed, there are no jobs in government. Though, for me, I want to say this. No one will lie me that government has no jobs. But the jobs in government are for those. A case in point, go and read the Auditor General's report of January 2023. You see the ghost workers stealing our money, billions. Then they come here and say, no jobs, no jobs. Who are those ghosts that are earning, are getting those salaries? Then after they say, young people, we love you, we love you. Yet young people have no jobs, but jobs are for ghost workers.
So does that insinuate perhaps
600,000.
that the thieves are the elderly and the young ones are
The
not
senior
amongst the
senior
thieves?
youth.
Oh. Senior youth.
Senior youth, senior cadres. Thieves.
These descriptions.
My brother Kent, the presidential initiative and the regional hubs are doing good. It is a good, it's a vision, it's a very good vision, very pertinent, very smart.
Yeah.
But what is it bringing on board? How many young people graduate from these initiatives? Where do they go? From these hubs, where do they go? Now, the idea is, have the hubs, after give the startups to these people that have graduated. But after skilling them, graduation, they go back to streets.
I think
You get the point?
I think on that there is misinformation.
Talk about these, the Grow Fund, Emioga. How many people are getting this money? You form groups when you are 10. I've applied for this money several times. But you hear somebody in charge, we are going to give you 1 million. You sign for 1 million, they give you 800 or even 500. After you open the calls, you will see. I'm giving you for us, we are foot soldiers, we are on ground. We are not here to read stories, what. For us, we have information from the grassroots.
Yeah.
You remember very well, on the when we were celebrating Muzee's achievements on 5th July, I was blessed that I traveled in all regions of this country using my money to mobilize young people to celebrate the achievements of the president. But the stories we got from West Nile, our first meeting was on Vura, sub-county. Tears of these passionate young cadres.
Why were they crying?
No jobs, No programs are not reaching them. If they are there, they are bureaucratic. Very smart programs, my brother Bwire. I will never join opposition, but we must say things the way they are.
Exactly.
And that is what is lacking in our government. These people who just, kuana, sweet talking,
Yes,
the
ma'am.
president, they only lie him so that they can steal from him. But they don't know what is on the ground. So these issues are very important. We must mention them if we want a better country. For us all, not for a few chosen ones. Innovation and research. I'm happy that it is your docket. How
Innovation and
many
research.
when talk about Ministry of ICT, innovation, research, digitalization? How many young people have benefited from ICT in the 21st century? Yes, I'm happy that young people are getting these skills. They are learning computer, they are earning from graphic designs, websites, and whatnot. But when you look at the tax added on you see OTT to access Facebook and market your products, you must pay a lot of tax for internet. Taxes, yes, fine. But what about us young people who want to do research and innovate? Does this really help us?
So, in your view, conclusively, because I want us to take another round of, sharing the microphone.
As I conclude, Kent, Uganda is very rich.
The Pearl of Africa.
The Pearl of Africa. Not only from taxes that we collect. If this money was budgeted well and it does what it is supposed to be doing, would be the first country in this continent.
Which in your view would be the, let's say, top 3 priorities the NRM should focus on to bring Uganda back to the top?
Fight corruption. Let our taxes do what it's supposed to be doing. You're talking about electricity, but in the villages, people don't have power.
Surely there is random load shedding in the recent days in the urban areas.
In the urban areas, though you're using power, but people pay a lot of money to access power.
The tariffs are high.
Very high. And our countries, neighboring countries that are using Ugandan power, are paying cheaper.
Relatively
Cheaper. Just go to Rwanda. I worked from Rwanda. Just go to those South Sudan has issues with their governance, but also they are.
So if they sorted the corruption problem, sorted the power grid issue, and which one?
Infrastructure development. Work on infrastructure development. Work on innovations. Have mobilized. In fact, work on unemployment. If we talk about poverty ratios, there has been some change. We are no longer as poor as we were before the president and his people came in. But just go, young people are poor. The youth are the poorest people in this country. And when we mention this, they say we hate the government. We don't. But that is what we are.
So it's a reality.
It's a reality.
An observation.
Just go on ground. You will see. Opposition is increasing just because young people are not mobilized well.
I'll be coming back to you, Kada Akansasira. By the way, just to remind you, you came in late, so somehow you even need to be punished for...
I was meeting some young people there who were...
Well, for you that is listening to us, we are coming to you live on UBC Radio, but we also coming to you live on UBC Butebo, and as well UBC West Nile, Magic 100 FM. So just in case, be sure you are not lost where you are. We also live on YouTube, and you can simply look out for UBC Radio, just as is the case as we are live online. So we are live on air and online. We are taking stock of the NRA fulfilled promises in 39 years and the tasks ahead. Just to remind you, in the studio with me are 3 gentlemen. The one that just spoke is Akansasira Junior Victor. And before he spoke, Stephen Bwire, the Senior Research Officer, NRM, spoke, whilst as well Assistant Commissioner National Guidance in the Ministry of ICT and national guidance. Jonah Jackson Bakalikwira made mention of key areas and more so highlighting to us the 10-point program. Commissioner,
Yes, please.
as Victor spoke, I saw you noting severally, and I'm wondering what it was that you are noting. Probably you could make mention of that you noted before I fire you my next question.
Thank you very much, Kent, and my colleague in the studio and our listeners. As Victor was saying, I realized one thing, which I want to share with the listeners. For a country and a society to develop, they must have a clear understanding of the dynamics in society. What others call a clear ideology, what others call a clear mindset. And it's good that Victor is a mindset educator. If people don't understand a clear mindset of how the society has been, what it is, and what ought to be, and where they are going, they may get misinformation and be defranchised. But I want to give hope to our listeners and young people that in Uganda, we have every opportunity to move away from the backward and unfavorable conditions to a better and prosperous country that we are in. As I also was talking, I feel that listeners should know our path of development from 1986. I started by mentioning the TPP, the 10-point program. Then I want to move to one fundamental step that now this country was given by the leadership. That's now a people's constitution, which was acquired out of the consultation from the people, taking stock of their problems, and coming up and structuring something that is going to guide us through our development engagement. And in that constitution of Uganda, which was promulgated in 1995, there are very many segments that should lead our governance. But I want to bring out one important part of the constitution. That's the national objectives and directive principles of state policy, where governance management is distilled from. And it's the obligation of every Ugandan to follow that. And out of that, I want to bring out one area where they're talking about the duties of a citizen. That's objective 29. And when you read the duties of a citizen, it really gives you comfort. But I want to bring out 1 or 2, 3 areas there. It's the duty of every citizen to be patriotic and loyal to Uganda and promote its well-being. If we are to deal with that, then we could be able to deal with the element of corruption and misuse of office.
Do you see any sort of failure at that by the citizens? Perhaps the reason for which we are facing what we are facing.
Yes, of course there are some kind of challenges, and that's when it comes again to us, the government actors. We ask ourselves, how much have we invested, how have we done in terms of empowering or building a critical political and economic and social fabric that is patriotic in character. He was talking about now the leaders. I don't think that the leaders are the only ones that need the patriotic ideology. Every Ugandan needs that kind of patriotic ideology. Yes, it is true that in governance, the leadership must be answerable. And indeed, when the young people put questions to the current leadership, that's right. Every system, a leadership in place must answer questions reasoned by the people. Okay. If they are saying that now they are not having jobs, that is true. They are right. But in the same vein, also we should look at what are the openings that can be able to give jobs to the young people. When I was in school, when we were being taught, they used to tell us that now the problem of the education system in Uganda is that they are teaching job seekers other than job creators. And it's good we talked about the change in the curriculum. I think that change in the curriculum is tailored towards producing a Ugandan who can be a job creator. Not world over. Governments have never been the employer of everybody, but they provide enabling environment to create employment opportunities, policies, and even practical opportunities among the population so that they can become productive. At that point, I want also to refer, coming from where, let us look at how much has been done in developing the human capital, because the human capital is very critical. With the correct ideology, the correct mindset, to engage into production. You and me will agree that now, when you go outside there are many young people who are sitting on various pieces of land and whatever, but then the capacity to them is still lacking.
Yeah.
So that patriotic productive mindset is what we must tap into. And as government, I think now in changing the developing the human capital, they have done very well. Because when you look at by the time of 86, we had one university or so. But today we have around
over 20.
Over 20. Even it's more than that. I was checking my
over
public
20.
university, 60 universities and then 45 private universities. And he brought out an example of yesterday Makere was graduating. That's a very critical mass of human capital. So the question is, of that human capital out of university, what kind of thinking are they going with into the population? Are they really conscious that now they must play a role in shaping the direction of the transformation of this country? That's what now calls for, also what is in the Constitution, that we must put deliberate programs of changing the people's mindset, of developing a cadre who is nationalistic, patriotic, and responsible for making contribution to this country. And in government, I can tell the listeners that we have been working on establishing the National Service Program, where now outside of the routine of now studying your economics and whatever, medicine, you go into that kind of engagement, that training, which will be able to sharpen your national outlook.
Please paint a picture for us. What is national service?
National service.
In simple terms.
In simple terms, that's now a center where people go and share the historical path of their country, understanding the problems, the causes of the problems, and also understanding how they can mitigate. So that at the end of the day, they come out with a quality of a graduate who understand that I must make this contribution to this country, I must tap into the endowments of this country, so that now we can create wealth together.
Is that the equivalent of Chankwanzi?
Well,
or what happens at Chankwanzi?
Chankwanzi, of course, is primarily also
a leadership institute,
but it's entirely focusing on that national ideology. National consciousness.
Okay.
But when you talk about Chankwanzi, yes, it is good, but the population is growing, as he has told you. To us, we feel, and from the side of government, there is that kind of feeling that now we should make it robust, so that even at the end of the day, we can even create epicenters around the entire country to give that kind of opportunity to share that national consciousness and share that national outlook. And as Ndugu talked about those principles, so that they're inculcated into the population. And while we are doing that, that one should be able to start from the grassroots. So that at the infant level, the young person grows up, when he or she knows that Uganda is his or her country, it becomes nationalistic. Even the question of saying that now, in the historical time, we are now knitting or doing that one, also that's a component of imparting the love for skills into the population, which is the direction of this country. Yes, as we told, we are celebrating 39 years. But the process of forming a country which has gone through a history of over 60 years plus of exploitation, in ideological disorientation through the education system, into indoctrination through various and sub-region and whatever ideologies. It is not easy, but I feel that we have moved at a very, very good pace.
Okay.
Because educationally, we are at that level, and we are still continuing with growing the human capital. And also I want to look at the level of now how we are addressing the question of creating jobs. When you look at Uganda, really have moved a long path, a long way of industrialization.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up and studied when in Jinja. We used to answer questions that, which is the industrial town of Uganda? Jinja. But now when you ask out, which is the industrial town of Uganda? Every town is industrial, because they have gazetted out industrial parks which are being established to absorb the population into that area. And also the private sector. You remember the commitment was a mixed economy approach. How are we growing the private sector? Today you can say that now the private sector is at the helm of championing our transformation, of our growth. The question is, are we supporting it? And I think government is supporting the private sector. He was talking about taxation. But again, he said that taxes must be collected and used rightly. So the payment of tax globe over is a critical area that now promotes growth. Okay. Even those who are enjoying grants from outside partners, that money is picked from the taxi payers of
Other countries.
countries. So in Uganda today, we should now be able to develop the narrative of not saying that paying taxes is bad, but using taxes appropriately, which is the most important fact that I must be able to address.
Okay.
And then, of course, IT. Allow me a little bit. I know that now we need to continue the conversation. In the field of IT, I'm amazed,
Which is your docket?
which is part of my docket, because I'm IT and national guidance.
Yes.
Yeah, that one must be very clear. When you put my docket there, because you may misguide the listeners.
That's right.
Yes, I'm not an IT expert, but I'm a national guider. There are many hubs that are being constructed, and even we have it on history that now UCC, which is under Ministry of ICT, put up a project where it was supplying computers in schools, and many teachers have been trained in that, and in the schools, which is the basis now of our knowledge transformation. IT is a subject that's been taken on. Today, when I go back home, they are my children in school who help me fix these gadgets. They help me search. So that is very, very important to understand that now what is called the Gen Zs are the ones who have been now access to that kind of knowledge, is now directing that knowledge into productive use, so that they don't use it to propagate violence, to propagate misconduct or porn, and also that they use it productively to support the transformation of productive systems in their places of domicile.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Mr. Stephen Bwire, let me get to you briefly as well, since you are the one that perhaps carries the burden of the research in this room. I'm wondering, what are the most pressing challenges the NRM has faced in fulfilling its promises, and perhaps how can these be addressed for the realization of the promises made to wananchi? I mean, let me just take you back a little. 2.5 or maybe 3 years ago, one of the ministers was speaking in a public address and said each Ugandan would be able to make a certain amount of money every month. As we speak right now, with that period down the road, it's even hard to achieve half that amount of money. So what are those things that are failing such achievements as, portrayed and prospected by the NRM?
Oh, thank you so much. I will begin from where my young brother Victor side off. And of course, you had earlier on warned us that he is motor mouthed. And but he's also driven by holy anger. There is, his is a holy anger.
Holistic anger, holy anger.
Holy
Okay.
anger, which is very good anger.
Revolutionary anger.
That's revolutionary anger. And he's saying that the young people actually have got a raw deal. A raw deal from our system, from our government, from our NRM revolution. I partly agree and also beg to disagree. Now, he has sounded the alarm on corruption, which is agreeably the biggest monster that is now derailing our achievements as a revolution. And we don't have to shy away from the issue of corruption. You remember in the early days, we had a problem of HIV. And where people were fearing to talk about HIV, President Museveni came out to begin making an alarm. And that is how we effectively combated it. Now, similarly, about this monster of corruption, President Museveni is now taking the lead to sound the biggest alarm.
Really?
On the issue of corruption. And of course, we are now running under...
You know why I actually exclaimed aloud is because one of the methods one of his anti-corruption engines was deploying, he actually downplayed. And that is lifestyle audit, which was proposed by the IGG some time back. He said, but these people invest in our country, please handle them well. I know all of us remember that statement.
Yes, but there are many approaches in handling this. Just will allow me in your time.
Just 30 seconds,
Yes, there are
Commissioner.
many approaches. There are the radical approaches, moderate approaches, and civic approaches. And every history has got its own dynamics.
Okay.
And indeed, that's why His Excellency managed to stage the liberation in 5 years, because he domesticated those approaches. I think that was good guidance. Maybe the other one would have been done, but there are radical ways which may not answer our problems.
Have we seen any of those ways deployed, Commissioner? Before I get back to Mr. Buire,
The
any of those,
the moderate approaches.
any of them, any of the
Yes,
three.
there are institutions that are handling issues of corruption. And also on the other side, we are empowering the community through the barazas to make sure that now they can put their leaders to task.
Okay.
It may not be 100%,
Yeah.
but this is the direction to go, which answers the problem holistically.
Mr. Buire, it's okay. That was probably a point of information to you, and it's a compliment to you,
Yeah, thank you so
or
much.
rather a supplement.
Thank you so much, my elder, JJ. Yes, the issue of corruption, this is a big monster. Now, it is everybody's mandate to fight corruption. We shouldn't only leave it to President Museveni. We shouldn't only leave it to the government. But as long as you are a stakeholder in this country, as a citizen, it is our duty as patriots, as citizens, to also join the critical mass of patriots who are sounding alarms against corruption. So, but let us not lament. A lot of things are being done to combat corruption. Of course, the IGG gave us a report the other day that annually over 10 trillion shillings is being lost through official corruption. That's just the corruption from official.
Pen and paper.
Yes. What about the unofficial corruption, the ones we don't see? It could even go beyond 10 trillion. So, but we first of all, we are happy that everybody now appreciates the fact that yes, much as we have all these wonderful achievements, but if we don't decisively deal with the corruption, then we shall be fighting a lost war. Now, coming to the issue of unemployment, where Comrade Victor was also directing his holy anger, which is agreeable. When you read the UBO statistics, the unemployment rate now is at about 15.2%, which is still very high. The World Bank a few years ago put it at 83%. But I would want to say that even when it comes to issues of creating jobs, it is not only the duty of government. Yes. Bwana Victor said that yes, in this government there are so many job placements, there are so many vacancies, but the youth are not really, they are not being brought on board to take up these jobs.
Actually, he said a government cannot have all the jobs, but he said the many opportunities that would create jobs have actually been taken on by those that steal what would make those opportunities happen, and that's stealing of money.
Yeah, that's the stealing of money, which is also being dealt with. But let us not lament. Now, when you go to school, education is a body of knowledge. We go to school to acquire knowledge. We go to school to acquire skills so that we can use the knowledge and the skills that we have acquired to transform our lives. Not just to wait for government or to wait for somebody to give us a job. Now, President Museveni, of course, has segmented the the job and wealth creation units. And these are the 4 sectors. We have got commercial agriculture, there is the ICT industry,
Service
tourism, and the service. Those are jobs are now in those 4 sectors. Now, the work of government is to create an enabling environment so that whoever ventures into any of these 4 sectors can create money for themselves. There is a man whom President Museveni likes referring to. This gentleman is called Nyakana of Fort Portal. From just 1 acre of land, Nyakana is reaping 250 million shillings a year. Actually, I'd want to visit Nyakana one of these days to go and see the magic that he's using. It's not only Nyakana, but there are others who are implementing the president's message of the 4-acre model. The 4-acre model, that you have got 4 acres of land, you are growing coffee, you are growing grass for cattle,
Bananas
you are growing
on the other
bananas,
side.
citrus, and in the backyard activities, you are having poultry, you are having your cows, you are having your goats, and so forth and so on. So collectively, all that, if you really implemented that 4-acre model, which the president has been preaching since 1986, the ones who have heeded are really making a lot of transformation. And he's now on a nationwide tour to see the message he has been preaching since 1986, to see how it has been implemented. And those ones who have heeded to his preaching have gotten out of poverty. That is why we are saying that now about 31% of the people are now in the are still stuck in subsistence, but 68% are already in the cash economy. Now, Victor also talked about the support to government, to the youth, that these young people, they have got a lot of energy, they have got a lot of ideas, they have got a lot of brains, they are doing things every day. But where is the support coming from? About 5 years ago, if I might say, the government came up with the Science Innovation Fund. I don't know whether you've heard about the Science Innovation Fund under the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation. You should take interest in that. Now, that fund was created because the president has now taken a strategic interest in supporting scientists. Because every country, every economy grows on the engine of scientists. Without scientists, you cannot have development. So that innovation fund, there is money. And the last time I checked, government had put in about it was about 200 billion to support scientists in that innovation fund. The only problem could be that maybe people don't have awareness or sensitization on where these opportunities are. But there is that money, there is that fund to support the scientists. Then the youth, the innovators who are in the ICT sector, you have heard of the business, the ICT Innovations Hub.
Business hubs.
Under the Ministry of ICT, which is in Akawa here, UICT.
And the country, they have established countrywide.
Yeah, now they are countrywide. Yes, those innovation hubs. If you have got an idea, because if you go to those hubs, you would find a lot of young people, they are busy innovating, they are busy doing, creating apps, creating softwares. Basically, they are putting their brains and energies to work. And the government has invested resources or money towards to support such people. Then, but so what we now need to work on is just the mindset change. The mindset of our young people is a problem, is a challenge. The attitude. Yeah, because now you find a young person who is used to wearing neckties, wearing suits and what, and then you tell him that let us go to farm, and let us go to the garden, let us do. They don't want to get dirty. That's also a problem. But the people who are getting dirty are getting money.
How should we make them get dirty? How can we change that mindset?
To get dirty? By telling them that you have to do it demonstratively. We have to demonstrate. That is why President Museveni goes to his garden. We have to demonstrate.
But Ndugu Bwire,
yes,
because I want to get you out of the way and then get Kada before we take a break. But how do we make this young man get dirty? Yet apparently the people that are clean on the outside are actually the ones with the money.
Ndugu Bwire, please allow me. This is a conversation.
Yes.
Do you know that now we are conducting patriotism training programs across the secondary schools? And outside the secondary schools, we are conducting civic education awareness campaigns. So that's the area, that's the avenue where we come and have this conversation.
But Commissioner,
the other day,
do you ask them what they want to become? I'm sure a majority of the answers are politician, MP.
Because of the distortions. If you don't redirect their thinking, they think that they go for MPs. But after talking with them, these young people are very, very interesting. That time I was talking to 700 young people at Nkumba University. People who had been gathered across the entire country, they are there for an ideological training program. And then they could make so many testimonies about that. So that's why we emphasize on ideological training so that we can redirect the thinking of the young people, we can redirect their attitudes, and then they use what Will is talking about into production. I want to also add on, there's Bishop Dawson in Namutumba. He has appreciated the 4-acre model, and he has even now customized 1-acre model, where there is a lot of production, and that's the direction to go. So, Will, thank you for your time. Please continue.
Yeah, but do it in probably just a minute, because I want us to take a break in a few after Kada Kansas City makes a submission.
Yes.
So you are saying mindset can actually be, if sorted, we can as well have this the achievements of the NRM realized.
Yes, mindset. Let's just now, this year, we just have to change the mindset of these young people. First of all, to point them to where the opportunities are.
Okay.
That as you finish school, you don't have to wait for government to give you a job. Because government is there are only about 500,000 people working in the civil service.
Yeah, true.
Out of 47 million Ugandans. Then, so, mindset. Then, and also, we are happy with the support to the private sector. Most of these jobs are coming from the private sector. The factories, the last time I counted, we have, since 1986, the factories have grown from 80 to 5,090 factories.
Wonderful.
To date, 5,090 factories. So you can now see a deliberate efforts in issues like manufacturing and industry, and these are among the wealth creation units.
All right. Kada, Victor. Interestingly, the 10-point programs highlighted something that, looked so much into redressing the errors that divided the population. The category that you so much represent, the youth, feel this government has sidelined them. I don't know. Quick comments on that before we take a break.
That is the eighth.
The eighth year of the 10 point.
The errors of the past.
Yes.
One of the key philosophers said that anyone who really forgets their past history is cannot be able to see where he's heading to.
Correct.
It is very important that we know where we've come from.
That's right.
And where we were before this government. But the moment we continue repeating the mistakes that took us to the bush, then we are forgetting our history. It is very important for us to understand there are errors, and I'm very happy that all of you understand what I'm talking about. And if you don't address them, then you cannot win the hearts of the young. Even if you talk about mindset change, whatever times, you'll still not get the minds of the young people.
And always, you say at times when taking us to the bush, there you may, but even these were the errors that have been even made yesterday. That's history. That were made. That's history.
Yes. So from the time of 1962, when we got independence, up to the time, in fact, 1981. Let's go to 1980. There were errors.
Yes.
So from the time, now, 1986, now we started working on errors. We are still working on errors.
It's a continuous process.
Are you getting my point in Dugu?
Yes, that's why we are continuing fighting the
So
corruption.
why are some errors
recurrent?
Why are they recurrent and continuous? And why is it that the people in charge of these errors are the ones promoted? And,
Then that
you get the point.
misinformation
It is not.
or distortion?
I know most of you read. Mr. Bwire, you are a researcher. Let's not praise things. They are errors. That is what is
true.
disturbing us.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Commissioner and Mr. Bwire, I'm very sure that most of the people that talk good of the government are those who are eating. And in fact, good thieves. If you come up and say, maybe you talk about these issues the way they are, even if they are statistical, they are on paper, they all see them, you'll become an enemy. Am I lying? So what does this mean, Mr. Kent?
Yes.
we must address these issues together. That's the agreement. The moment we fail to agree,
Highlight key issues that are demanding for the youth, and then we can as well together find
number
solutions.
one, if we're talking about
jobs.
if we're talking about number one, as the first point, restoration of democracy with its principles, and you want the young people to be part of the democracy, participate fully, then you must bring them on board to participate.
They're on board.
Listen, Kent, if you're talking about young people participating in governance, how many positions do they have in the parliament? How many young people do we have in this country? We have only 5 positions. Am I lying? Representation. Though some struggle in their youthful age, they come up and win some constituencies.
As directly elected MPs.
But how much money does a young person need to contest for a position?
And our struggle is that let us make politics non-monetary. That's your struggle and my struggle.
That's what I've been talking about.
Exactly.
Very expensive. Like, for example, if I wanted to come for president, it is my right, basing on the constitution and the democracy, if you're talking about the principles. Even the principles and the 10 points. Democracy, principles, I see it is number 4.
Yeah.
When it comes to 10 points, it is number 1. How much do I need to contest for president?
About 22 million.
Not only 20, that's
for
just
the
nomination. How much do you need to go and mobilize the signatures from every district? 140 something districts.
Why don't you start at the baseline? LOC1, chairperson.
Why do you want me to send me to LOC1?
Wait.
When
But that's the because but you are taking us to presidency,
Mr.
That's
Commissioner.
but when people participate in the LOC1,
Mr. Commissioner,
where you have all participated.
I have the rights to contest
and
on any position that I want to sit on.
As a guider, I'm telling you, the young people listen there. Start contesting for these positions at LOC1 level and then grow the path.
Yes.
So now, even at LOC1, when we are having people also putting in money, then it's a disaster. Then we should fight that element. When we kill it at that level, we go to LOC2, we kill it. We go to LOC5, we kill it. We go to MPH, we kill it. Then at the end of the politics will become very enjoyable and the participation will grow. That's where we must start from.
Let me ask you, Mr. Commissioner.
Yes.
How many positions from LOC did the President Museveni contest on?
Excuse me.
No, it's a rhetoric question.
It's a question, but you know that he's chairman of the National Defense Council from
Yes.
the bush, and now even in the time out of the constitutional governance, what is structure causes him to be there. The national conference puts him there. That's what us look at now, addressing issues which are constitutional and can lead us into conventional democracy where everybody can participate following a popular mass line approach.
Mr. Kent, you defend my time.
Please.
Now,
But it has not
I'm
been
talking
enforced
about
badly.
issues of the young people.
Yes.
What is affecting us
Yes.
is that you, the senior youths, the senior leaders have monetarized our elections, our leadership.
And his
You
excellence.
you need a lot of money to contest, even for chairman LOC1. Mr. Commissioner, you believe that? You go to the youth councils. From LOC1 to district council, you need a lot of money to win an election.
That's a distortion.
What about? It is not.
It is.
I'm telling you what I've been participating
is
through.
there
Kada Victor,
struggle?
Kada
How
Victor,
much- okay,
don't
no,
mind the commissioner.
first
Don't
wait,
mind
Kate.
the commissioner.
Don't mind about. Okay, let's leave the youth. Let's go to students. I've been in UNSA for quite some time. How much does just one person, 11 positions on UNSA, to take a position, you must go through all the regions of this country. How much do you need?
Kada, let me ask, why do you think this monetization fell in? Is it because the ones that make you become, that is the voters, are broke, they don't have money, so they need it?
No.
What brought this up? What brought about this?
Because originally we are lining up. And this group.
Mr. Ken and Mr. Bwida and Commissioner in this studio, you go and read, make research, go to the grassroots, know what is disturbing the young people. But This issue of sugarcoating, sweet talking things the way they are not. Sincerely, we should have avoid them on when these studios.
Nobody has qualified
Young
that.
people are affected when it comes to leadership and governance. To come and contest for even for why is it the president? Why is it that we among our 5 MPs, the president chooses somebody who is not even a youth, who has never been even an MP, even a youth chairperson, to become a minister in charge of the youth? So is it something to praise the president of? Because, sincerely, Bwire, how many times or which regime do you remember President Museveni or a cabinet electing or appointing a representative, somebody has been chosen by the youth by vote to represent them as a minister? When was that?
But ministerial positions are not electoral.
I'm talking about if you elect. I'm talking about this.
I get your point.
We elect the MPs to parliament.
You want someone that is actually of
the
your
one
own.
that we have elected to parliament.
Yes.
Out of the 5, at least there is somebody.
Don't change the
The
constitution.
current minister for youth is youth affairs. Is a younger man.
Who is that one?
How old is?
How old is Baram?
Balam is only 40.
When did he
years.
even contest for LOC1?
But now, let us
Is
now
that
be
here?
For me,
honest.
what I'm talking about, Nyamuto, we are the ones who elected her
But she's a
as an
Isn't
MP.
she a min- she's a
Let
minister.
her come and represent us. She knows our issues.
No, but the president.
Why do you send her to energy? Yet we have issues as young people.
But
We have a docket.
You mean young
You get
people
my
only?
point? That is my point.
Kent,
Okay.
I want indulgence in this.
Please.
As we are here, let us give information which is very logical and which can direct the population. Because the Constitution has never said that now the president will elect and give a minister who has been elected by that. Then you're abrogating the presidential powers as per the Constitution. And I know my brother here, my Kada here,
yes.
is a researcher.
Commissioner, I'm on
Yes.
your side, but perhaps to make Kada Victor Kansasira's point a little clearer, he's bringing the point of Kent, who is a media expert, becoming an agriculture minister will somewhat be a wrong choice. But if Kent, a media expert,
With no experience
was
in that
dropped
too.
into ICT communication, it would be a perfect selection of a minister.
A minister is part of
Yes.
that's governance.
That is
So
his
that-
point.
Exactly.
Yes.
Firstly,
So we should
Mr.
have.
Do you know why we have errors in governance and failure in service delivery? It is because that let me make it clear, without fear of favor.
And
It is
fib-
because the president and his, I think, advisors, I don't know whether they also advise him, they appoint people who don't have experience in certain dockets. How do you elect
Experience in
somebody who has experience in entertainment? You make him an expert of the youth and governance. That's just a question. I'm just okay. How do you elect somebody who has an experience in education? You make him a minister in agriculture.
Then we would
or
say
in the
interviews.
Yeah.
That is what you mean.
I mean, when you are appointing leaders, we're talking about governance, democracy, and good service delivery. Commissioner is an expert in journalism. Then he can serve well in the Ministry
That's
of
why they are
ICT.
technical
When it
officers
is
and
structured.
Technical.
appointed officers
Yes.
to give direction on leadership. Technical officers do that part. Then the appointed leaders, they do the governance. Also, they do their part under the rules and regulations as per our constitutional provisions. So,
And in that
so make a
case-
difference.
Okay, we're
Public
talking
service.
about
Public
corruption,
service,
Mr.
yes.
Kent.
But
How
conclusively,
many
Victor.
authorities, how many offices do we have? How much money are we spending
on fighting
on
corruption?
fighting corruption? Talk of IGG, talk of Auditor General, talk of DPP,
State House.
talk of UPF and corruption unit, talk of financial State House. All these doing a lot of useless work, no results.
No, it's not
just
useless.
but getting.
So what is
Victor,
your
it's not
provision?
useless.
For us, we are saying fighting responsibility for all. For us, we are empowering you to come up and mention and be able to eliminate. We are empowering the people. Let them come up and talk through brothers, through these forums, through the media, so that we can make people accountable. When the masses are table, then people will shape up.
Mr. Bwire, you are
As which government is taking up.
Mr. Bwire, you are a researcher. All things I've mentioned with the skyrocketing corruption cases and the money we give them, these are public. Remember, they are also private.
So in simple terms, Victor,
what have they done?
Victor,
what are they?
Victor, before
are
we
they
take
useful to us?
Victor, before we take a break,
what you're saying is a solution. That's what we have to do.
Victor,
but what have they done?
Victor, before we take a break, maybe perhaps as well to remind you, I'm the moderator here.
Yes, sir.
But before you take a break, we are the same people claiming government is failing on fighting corruption. But again, when it brings the anti-corruption bodies, we are against that. You could respond to that in 30 seconds.
We are not against them. We are not against that. Anti-corruption is GCG. There are so many.
Because you said they're
But
doing a useless
it's
job.
They're not
that
doing
direction.
work. Now, I don't want to mention some things here, but some agencies are created to create jobs for a few mercenaries and something.
All right, let's just take a very short break, and when we return, we shall indulge you, the listening family, on my producer is not around to help me because somewhere, somehow, I seem to have lost track of the phone number that we are making use of this particular day. Producer, please come through and be of help. But we take a break right now and return with the closure of the take we are having, looking at the 10 points program, the achievements of the NRM, the tasks ahead, and so much more. Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
It's hot.
We passed it. We didn't know exactly what the problem was on the ground. There is no pretending about the effect of this thing. There's no pretending about it. Nobody showed. It's a problem.
It's balanced.
This is not the stage at which you start planning to tax a commodity like coffee, especially from down there.
It's intellectually engaging.
The Constitution provides that the land must be registered under the customer tenure system, which is one of those that's recognized by the Constitution.
Ground Zero Season 2, live and syndicated on your public and national broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda. This is Ground Zero Season 2. Stay tuned. We shall be right back. Welcome back. Ground Zero Season 2 continues.
Welcome back from the break. We are Ground Zero program on UBC Radio, but of course as well on UBC West Nile, UBC Magic 100 FM, UBC Butebo, and as well online on YouTube and on air. My name is Kent, and today we are looking at taking of stock of the NRM NRA fulfilled promises in 39 years, as well as the tasks ahead. As I do remind you, the phone line is what is going to be the most active this particular time. I do have in studio Mr. Jonah Jackson Bakari Kwira, an assistant commissioner at the Ministry of ICT. We do have Mr. Stephen Bwire, a senior researcher at the National Resistance Movement, and we also have Mr. Akansasira Junior Victor, who is a global schools mentor and as well a Nurture African Youth Network CEO. We are getting into some phone calls right now, and you can now reach us on 0776 511 426. The reason as to why I did a bit of holding my breath as I shared the numbers is because we are a one, or rather a 4-in-1, 4 different radio stations working together, and every time we could choose which phone line to use depending on how we want to operate. But reach us on 0776 511 426. And just in case you're calling on any of the other numbers to the respective radio stations that are together with us, you might not be getting us, but the one I have shared with us. I'll actually take only 2 or 3 phone calls because the time is running out so fast. And maybe as we do welcome the phone calls, okay, let's just note them. Magic, UBC, Butebo, and West Nile FM. Good morning. Ground Zero program.
Hello?
Ground Zero it is. Go talk to us.
Yes, good morning, Kent.
Good morning to you, Sebo.
This is Tarema Livingston.
Taremwa Livingston.
Thanks for program for today.
Thank you too for listening in.
I want to thank Comrade JJ Bakarkwira.
Thank you.
And Kansas Rakada for submission.
Mm.
But for the period of 39 years of NRM, NRA, they have done a great job. But however, the issue of youth,
the youth
has been lagged behind. And Ndugu JJ Bakarkwira has presented very well, but the issue of the youth is still a problem, and there is no way you can promote youth. You can promote political ideology, patriotism when the youth
are left behind,
and are unemployed, and you want them now to create that mass line when they are not equipped, they are not empowered.
Okay.
So I want Commissioner Bakarkwira at least to handle that issue critically.
Okay. Tarema, where are you calling from?
I am in Kampala, but I'm from Rakai district.
Okay. Thank you so much, Tarema Livingston.
Thank you, Livingston.
All right. We shall take another phone call, as I did share with you earlier. 0776 511 426 is the number to reach us on. Ground Zero program.
Hello.
Yes, good morning.
This is Henry Baguma.
You're very welcome, Henry Baguma.
Yes, a very beautiful discussion.
Thank you so much, Sebo.
Yeah, members, my challenge remains on the issue of corruption. Maybe we need to define what corruption is. Is it different from stealing? Because, in Uganda here, once you say that's the thief for your movie, I can tell you everybody will rush to him and everybody will come in. And most thieves, they do too much to make sure they hide, they are not seen.
True.
But corrupt people go public because it is a blessing. Some such is corrupt. Once is corrupt, he steals money here and there to the house, people praise him. But for thieves, the action from public is different. So there is need to define corruption properly. If it's part of stealing, let's call it thieves. And then that's where everybody participates. Number two, yes, in Idi Amin time, people talk so negative of Idi Amin. Me, I praise Idi Amin for one thing. In the meantime, if they gave you 20,000 to go and buy cement, you must come back with cement worth 20,000, or you come back with the money because there was no cement. That's all. Or you don't come at all because if you come, you'll be either killed or be arrested. So that's how serious the time was. And recently, His Excellency Museveni came up fighting the thieves in PDM. And he said no bond for thieves in PDM. But again, people are complaining, no, these are our people. Police are here, they are saying the law is not clear. You can imagine how they praise the corrupt people. President said, no stealing, it's 1 million to everybody and must be 1 million. But now, the agencies are saying we need a law to clear that. Can you imagine that?
Okay.
So let's borrow a little bit from Idi Amin time. And again, they find the word corruption should be redefined to make it a more offensive case than how it is now. Right? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Baguma.
Okay. By the way, he had earlier shared through an SMS. He shared saying Minister for the Elderly, Honorable Mafabi, is an MP for the elderly people. And then Minister Bright Ramirama of Agriculture is a farmer with so many cows. And also says the Minister for the PWDs is a person with disability herself. So what I think Kada Kansas City was saying, he shared some light upon. Ground Zero program, you're welcome. Oh, I think we shall terminate that and take another one. Ground Zero program. The number to call us on is 0776 511 426. Ground Zero. Ground Zero program. You're live on UBC radios.
Hello?
Yes, you're live on UBC radios. Ground Zero program. Yes, Sauda tusanyisa okuwulira nnyabo.
Ababbi bangi nnyo bino pulogulaamu gye muliko ndigoberera. Ababbi batandikira ddala
munda wa
bangi nnyo mu gavumenti yaffe eno. ne mu byalo mu byalo eyo mu kyalo yonna ne bantu ne balunda ensi zaabwe ente babba bubbi enkoko buli wamu kujojobya bujojobya abantu ababbi bangi nnyo babatuyambeko.
Okay. I think Namuwaya Sauda will close. In fact, she closes the phone line interaction. Why? Because earlier on I wanted to apologize for not having a female panelist on the show. It's not intentional, but it is how the day ended up presenting itself. But at least a female listener has called in, and that perhaps makes it a blend of sorts. So, gentlemen, we have approximately 15 minutes left. I want you to have the best of the discipline you have ever had, each to use 4 minutes. 4 minutes. Respond randomly to the input that we've gotten from the listening family. I'll start with probably Mr. Buire, the senior researcher, NRM.
Yes. Two questions. Two issues. One, the youth question, and the corruption. The question of the youth is being adequately addressed, or the youth question is being adequately addressed.
Okay.
Just like we have been discussing earlier about the initiatives that the government has always put in place to empower the young people. You have heard of things like the youth livelihood program. Even now programs to do with the Emyoga, programs to do with the PDM, all these have got youth components in them. We talked about the innovations, the science innovation fund for scientists. And who are these scientists? Majority of them are young people who are busy innovating computer applications, softwares, and among other innovations. The support to the farmers through the microfinance support center. If you have heard of the agricultural credit facility, which is being given through the microfinance support center, and that money is there. It is only that maybe our young people, our populations, are not really sensitized about some of these government programs and opportunities. So the question of the youth is being adequately addressed.
Okay.
And I'm happy when I see young people like Victor being enthusiastic about the challenges, the modern challenges
pertinent to the youth.
Pertinent to the youth. So that one now means that the revolution is now shifting attention from the things that took us to the bush now to address
the things
the modern challenges
right
of the
now.
time.
Okay.
Because a young person is not interested anymore in lectures about 1986, how we came to power.
Mr. Researcher, maybe as well to let you know, as Namuwaya Sauda said, ababbi bangi munda mu government, so she said. So I think your research, if that information was not available, a sample that is Namuwaya Sauda, because you people use samples, has informed you. Tackle that as well. It's a problem in the contemporary times.
Yes. So these are the modern challenges now we are facing as a revolution. Issues to do with the basically with the corruption, because you see these are now problems that are arising out of our success. Out of our success, the economy has grown. There is a lot of production and productivity going on. Money is being generated, but now the issue of corruption is also becomes a challenge. And corruption has not just begun today, but corruption begins from basically it's a society problem.
Briefly, corruption, stealing, thuggery, robbery. Any difference? Embezzlement.
They are all the same, as long as you are misappropriating resources which are not meant for you, but for somebody else.
Did you follow events that started the week? Police swatted or foiled a robbery that was meant to be happening around Kamo Church, Cementi. We were doing an investigation. I don't know what you would call that. Was it a corruption? Can we say police swatted a corruption?
That was a robbery. It was a case of robbery. It was a theft.
Okay.
Yes.
So they are different.
Yeah, they
but
are-
you just said they are the same.
Yeah, they're quite different. So, so the issue of corruption is
yes.
everybody's responsibility.
All right.
When you produce a child, and also how you nurture that child, how you direct that child, how you breed your children also matters. Background also matters a lot.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I will be going last for the commissioner because he's the biggest man in this studio. So, Kada Akansasira, Victor, there was 3 highlights from the phone calls. Kampala is, rather, it's a great job the NRM has done, but the youth are lagging. That one I think you've tackled, so don't revisit it. But Henry Baguma wishes to know the difference between corruption and stealing, and does so much advocate for the style of the former President Idi Amin Dada. While it's, like you highlighted, there's so many thieves in government, as someone called him, that is Namwaya Sauda. Quick comments on that as we close.
Well, thank you so much. I want to thank the callers, and most especially the Gen Zs. Those are representatives of the young people. Apart from my senior mentor, Henry Bagoma, I was with him in Tanzania.
He's a very good
when
guy.
When I was celebrating Julius Mwalimu Nyerere and their deeds. So, but for corruption and theft, like I earlier said,
yes,
you can now see that I have at least the seniors who are really saying,
falling on your side,
falling on my side. I don't know why Mr. Bakalikwira is not this side.
That's misinformation. Don't take his word. That I condone. Pack your word very well. People may think that I promote corruption.
Commissioner, the good thing is
that's not correct.
You're speaking last, so
but
you'll have.
Let him please withdraw that word.
Okay.
He knows that.
I'm just joking, Mr. Bakalikwira.
I think listeners are jokers.
It's a heavy
I'm
joke.
trying to say.
It's a heavy one, eh?
Yeah, I'm trying to say, Mr. Henry Baguma is a senior person, and is also saying the government of Idi Amin at some point, especially to do with corruption, it was very serious than how we are sugarcoating corruption in the government of Mzee Museveni. So we better change this word to theft than corruption, because it is sugarcoated in the Shakespearean English. So the moment, that is why you see people are saying, when you steal money from the hospital that is meant for infrastructure, that is meant to work on maybe
the Cancer Institute, or maybe bring some medicines.
I want to make this clear. I want to refer to a school I taught in Ntungamo, school called Rwamanyonyi Secondary School. Formerly, it was a primary school where the first lady studied from. If you are a researcher, you will find the first lady went through Rwamanyonyi Girls. When it was made a secondary school, people stole buildings.
They stole
If
money
you
meant
go
for
there,
buildings, or they
if you
stole
go
the
there,
buildings?
I'm trying to be. I've used a metaphoric statement.
Yes, yes.
But they stole money that was meant to construct 2 classroom buildings, a laboratory, a computer lab.
Where are the thieves? Were they?
Can you?
Did they?
Teacher who goes there to find what happened, accountability, they transfer that person.
Really?
I'm telling you, I worked there myself for 3 years.
You see, this is national air, and so
no,
we are taking everything on record, so we can follow up.
Thieves operate like shadows; they are not seen.
Even if you come and ask, I will tell you, and I will take you there. I'm telling you where I taught myself. I'm not telling you stories.
Conclusively.
So, what does this mean? Just go in buildings that were constructed by other regimes. Let's use this example. This same building.
Yes, the studio room.
And compare other buildings that have just in 20 years that have been constructed. They are down. But these ones are still, and they will still be there. Why? What Henry Baguma was saying is, at some point, some other governments were serious on the issue of corruption. But when it comes, of course, like you're saying, trends, we accept, we agree that there's been development. What we appreciate. But issues, some of these issues, corruption, digitalization, unemployment, poverty among the young people, monetization of elections, these are issues, they must be addressed.
Okay. That is Kada Akansasira Victor. Very much youth at heart. Assistant Commissioner, you'll have the last word on the show. And of course, we've been looking at the NRA achievements in the last 39 years and their tasks ahead. But amongst them, there is that loophole, the youth not being so much helped, and the issue of corruption, which someone dubbed Ababi mu government.
Thank you so much. First of all, dear listeners, government appreciates all those challenges. And as earlier I said, every society at every time has got challenges. But what makes a government legitimate is to understand the challenges, understand the cause of it, and gives possible solutions, which are civic in nature. Today, in the world of governance, we do everything with a human rights approach. When you differ from human rights approach, then you become off what humanity deserves. And also we use approaches of inclusivity. So anybody saying that now we go back to Idi Amin times, which was very, very radical anti-human rights, I think that's going too much. So that's and today we are now saying globally that we must respect the rule of law and constitutionalism. Yes, we appreciate that some things are bitter, but if systems are in place, which is our duty to make systems work and deliver good enough as government, there are institutions in place. And we are saying that in addition to institutions in place to fight those evils, we should also empower the communities so that they are in charge of their destiny. And this is the process we are taking on from the time of conscientizing the population, mobilizing the population, so that they become partners in the process of addressing our distortions, which hinder development. And when saying that now corruption, calling it thievery and whatnot, some of these concepts are broader. Thieving is small, but corruption is bigger. And I love the premise of the 10-point program. They said elimination of corruption and misuse of power and office. Because also misuse of power can injure society. It can divide society along classes. Then the political class now to fight against the civilians, fight against the technical class. That's something that we must be able to fight. And to do that one is when you're addressing misuse of what? Office. And if the politics and at play is wrong, then other things will go wrong. And that's why we insist on a clear ideology to drive delivery of services. And our government appreciates, it moves with the modern times. Because now, the president appreciates that now, yes, we have empowered the community so much. What are the programs that we must put in place? Let us put a vast program like the PDM across the parish development model. And in the parish development model, they put pillars there. You know, you must listen to know that now it is the Ugandan youth who even be able to, who established the system, the IT system, which is running the parish development model. Those are Ugandans innovators. So in there also there is a pillar for mindset change. I want to insist on mindset change because it's very critical in appreciating every innovation that comes by. But unfortunately, that pillar of mindset change, it hasn't been handled to where it is expected. And it's our duty now to spy it up so that it can be able to drive all these initiatives that are there. It's like religion. If you can't be a good Christian when you don't know the doctrines of Christianity.
That's right. So
if you are to now use the participant model or all these initiatives, we must know they are driving us where. So that now at the end of the day, I believe that graduates and whatever, they will go in there at that level and be able to participate in production, like how it is in China, now how it is in some of these other developing countries that have really exhibited the fast rate of growth. I look for Uganda, where tomorrow all these agricultural experts, veterinary experts, name it, health experts are working with the people to drive the development of this country. And lastly, friends and listeners, we are aware that when you get some kind of narratives, they can cause mistrust of the people into government. But our listeners trust that now the path of transformation that has been delivered by the nationalist movement is pro-people. Let us have that confidence, have that trust that we can continue to deliver to our expectation. Because the government defined where we are going. It said that by the year 2040, every household must be able to earn at least 20 million shillings per year household, and has put parameters in place. Coffee, bananas. I was moving up country, like how Kansas is saying that you are not the only one who moves up country. I looked at the coffee in families, which is at the rate which is going to go into production by in the next 2 years. You were wonderful. The production of coffee would have now hit, because during that period where there has been that advocacy for the 1 acre, people have now taken up. Money is now moving from the center into the countryside. And that's the direction, because without that, then the country can never move. We should look at a holistic transformation agenda, which the National Resistance Movement is committed to and will continue to deliver. Us together, we shall deliver this country. Transformation is a must. May God bless all of you listeners.
All right. Commissioner, I was beginning to think your watch is not working. Well, thank you, gentlemen. Today we've been taking stock of the NRA fulfilled promises in 39 years and the tasks ahead. And just like you've heard from the big men, we have had Assistant Commissioner National Guidance in the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance, Jonah Jackson Bakali-Kwira. We've also had with us Senior Researcher at the National Resistance Movement, Mr. Stephen Bwire. And we've also had the CEO, Nature African Youth Network, NINET, that is Mr. Akansa Sira Jr. Victor. We thank you, gentlemen, for coming through, and we thank you for honoring the invites to Ground Zero each time they come your way. Otherwise, we shall be getting back into normal programming in a few with the On the Journey program. A blessed Saturday, a blessed weekend, and a happy Liberation Day, which is happening next Sunday. That is on the 26th of January. Thank you, gentlemen.
Asante sana.
That was Ground Zero Season 2, a production of Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
A family is a group of one or more parents and their children living together as a unit. Sometimes this unit extends beyond the nuclear family to include relatives and grandparents. Every Tuesday night at 10:15 p.m., UBC Radio brings you The Family, a radio show that navigates through family affairs for peace, harmony, and unity. Here on UBC Radio, inspiring Uganda.
Opening for the fans at the
DW German Bundesliga football commentary is back on UBC Radio. This time, bigger and better. Get ready for the 612 matches in the entire season. 18 teams in action, each playing 34 matches, of which 17 games are played at home and 17 away. It's survival for the fittest through tactical and technical football.
Made by Teller. Is he going to get there? He does.
Tune in to UBC Radio every Saturday afternoon